My name is Dali and I'm from Group 10. Today, my colleagues and I will be presenting our topic, Problems Faced by Minority in Malaysia. And there's our table of contents. First is the theme, second introduction, literature, research methodology, discussion, and finally conclusion. And this page shows the team members, which is composed by 6 members, led by Daniel, and then come Mahdir, Arifa, Tajul, Dali, and Noor Hassan. Introduction. As we know, Malaysia is a country that has a diverse range of ethnic and religious groups, with unique customs, tradition, and practices that reflect the many ethnic and religious identities of its citizens. This variety has contributed to national rich and dynamic cultural history. However, conflict and tension have also resulted from this diversity, particularly when it comes to instances of unfair treatment, prejudice, and stereotyping based on racial and religious backgrounds.
So for the first article that we chose for our literature review is the article with the title Racism Towards the Chinese Minority in Malaysia, Political Islam and Institutional Barriers, written by James Chin. This article is about the issue that Chinese minorities face in Malaysia. There are many factors that lead to discrimination that have been faced by Chinese minorities. One of the big reasons is throughout the politics. The principle of Ketuanan Melayu has been felt by some of political parties that lead to racism towards Chinese in Malaysia. The sensitive issue about races should not be considered as a small matter because it can break the unity that we have between races and disturbing the peace we have in Malaysia. So for the next article is the article with the title Ethnic and Religious Discrimination, a Big Challenge for Malaysia's Minorities, written by Farah Mihla. This article is about how Malaysia is proud to be a multicultural Muslim country, but there are still discrimination faced by the minorities in Malaysia. There is a big issue regarding ethnic and religious in Malaysia. The Bumiputra policies have a wide-ranging effect, especially on citizenship, education, and careers that favoring Malay community. So for the last article that we chose is the article entitled Ethnic Differences and Predictors of Racial and Religious Discrimination Among Malaysian Malays and Chinese, written by Nur Amali Aminuddin. So this article is about racial and religious discrimination tend to be avoided but being used by bad person just to get their own gain, thus leading to breaking the bonds between races in Malaysia. There are many debates that said Malays as the victims and the minorities as the perpetrators. But actually, there is someone that spread this issue so that it become a sickness that eventually will break the unity between races that Malaysia have just to get their own gain and power.
Our research examined the impact of hate speech and misinformation on Malaysian minority through interview with a group of 5 individuals from UTP, including 2 lecturers and 3 students. The aim was to gather diverse perspective on the challenge faced by minorities in Malaysia using both face-to-face and online interviews, use carefully crafted questions to uncover obstacles and strategies, plus engaging directly with the respondent to start valuable insight on promoting inclusivity and harmony. During data collection, we acknowledge certain limitations. Firstly, the perspective shared by interviewees may not represent the entire populations as differing views can exist. Furthermore, interviewees without personal experience of minority challenge may struggle to provide definitive insight. On the other hand, misunderstandings and opposing perspectives can significantly influence our research outcomes. Plus, accurately transcribing interviewee voices in online interviews can also be challenging. And last, I could say that our research methodology involves diverse interviews to gain comprehensive understanding, and we try to emphasize the importance of carefully considering the perspective shared by the interviewees.
Moving on, these are the research questions. And this is the data analysis. So the second question asks how hate speech contributes to social division among ethnic groups in Malaysia. So based on the question 2, 5 respondents agree that hate speech in Malaysia contributes to social division by perpetuating stereotypes, prejudice, and negative portrayals of different ethnic groups. It undermines social cohesion and hinders the establishment of a harmonious and inclusive society. Now moving on to question 3, it asks what the main sources of hate speech and information are. So it was found again that all 5 respondents agree that the main source of hate speech and misinformation in Malaysia originates from social media. Also, to add on, 3 out of 5 respondents said that social media is used as a propaganda tool. Now, question 4 is based on question 3 and it asks how it impacts the society. So the respondents' answers highlight that social media platforms, when used to spread hate speech and misinformation, have significant negative impacts on society. These impacts include heightened tension, negative effects on mental health, and overall a less harmonious society. Now, moving on to question 5. Question 5 is a bit personal as we ask them to share any experiences or observations where hate speech and misinformation has caused tension in Malaysia. So 4 out of 5 respondents suggest a lack of personal experience but an acknowledgement of the existence of hate speech and misinformation within Malaysian communities, particularly among social media channels again. Now, these respondents recognize that hate speech can lead to tensions and conflicts between different racial and ethnic groups in the country. Now, moving on to question 6. It's an opinion-based question. We asked what the major challenges faced by minorities are. So, based on question 6, minorities in Malaysia face significant challenges that include discrimination and inequality, limited access to benefits and opportunities, difficulties in preserving and expressing their cultural and religious identities, language barriers, and disparities in scholarship opportunities. Now, moving on to question 7. The question asks what the primary causes of minorities in Malaysia being marginalized are. So, the answer includes that minorities in Malaysia face marginalization primarily due to discrimination and unequal access to education, employment, and public services. And stereotypes and segregation at the school level further contributes to the marginalization. To add on, the lack of representation and voice in political decision-making processes leaves minorities with limited influence. Now, historical and socio-economic factors, including colonial legacies and economic disparities, play a significant role in perpetuating marginalization. Cultural and religious differences also contribute to the challenges faced by minorities, as recognition and respect for diverse practices may be limited. Economic inequalities between ethnic groups further hinder minorities' access to education, employment, opportunities, and resources. Now, finally, for me, based on question 8, the respondents' answers highlight individuals may respond differently to discrimination, and while some may be stronger, others may experience negative consequences on their mental health and emotional well-being. Discrimination can cause individuals to withdraw from social interactions and avoid certain spaces and communities to protect themselves from further discrimination or negative experiences. This can lead to feelings of loneliness, social isolation, and a lack of meaningful connections with others. The effects of discrimination can be vary based on individual experiences and coping mechanisms. That's all from me. I'll pass the floor to Mahathir.
Okay, so for question number 9, would you agree that social media has influenced the spread of hate speech and misinformation among different ethnic groups in Malaysia? So all 5 respondents agree that social media has influenced the spread of hate speech and misinformation among different ethnic groups in Malaysia, which impact the role of influential individuals and the platform it provides being key contributing factors. So next, question number 10. How has social media influenced the spread of hate speech and misinformation among different ethnic groups in Malaysia? Yet, all of 5 respondents stated that social media's influence on the spread of hate speech and misinformation among different ethnic groups in Malaysia stems from the application and rapid spread of content, which influence the lack of monitoring, the anonymity enabling online harassment, and the virality and ease of sharing content. Goes to question number 11. What are some specific incidents or examples where social media has intensified ethnic tensions in Malaysia? So, from our respondent answers, there are many incidents. For example, lawyer incident in 2015, election campaign and firefighter incident. These incidents involving false information, divisive narrative, racist comments, and the use of social media during election campaigns, which contributed to the intensification of ethnic tensions in Malaysia. For question number 12, are there any laws or regulations in Malaysia specifically targeting hate speech and misinformation? If they do, how effective are they? So, all of the 5 respondents stated that Malaysia has laws and regulations, which includes the provisions in the penal code that can be applied to address hate speech and misinformation. However, there may be challenges in enforcing them effectively. Goes to the question number 13. Would you agree that educational institutions should play a role in addressing hate speech and promoting inclusivity among different ethnic groups in Malaysia? Based on our respondent answers, it was found that all 5 respondents agree that educational institutions have a significant role to play in addressing hate speech, promoting inclusivity, and fostering a positive and respectful environment for students of different ethnic backgrounds in Malaysia. For question number 14, in your opinion, what are the efforts that could be put in place to effectively address and eradicate discrimination in Malaysia? Again, 5 respondents suggest that efforts to effectively address and eradicate discrimination in Malaysia involve promoting equality, implementing diversity education, enhancing communication and understanding, adapting diversity and inclusion policies, raising public awareness, and striving for equal opportunities in employment, politics, and education. For the last question, question number 15, are there any successful practice from countries that Malaysia can learn from in tackling hate speech and misinformation? Based on our respondent answers, Malaysia can practice from countries like Finland, US, and Japan by implementing media literacy programs, establishing fast-checking initiatives, partnering with social media platforms, and promoting a culture of respect and equality to address hate speech and misinformation effectively.
Conclusion. Based on our respondents, we have concluded that minorities in Malaysia face various challenges, including social division and hate speech. Hate speech contributes to social division by promoting negative stereotypes and prejudice. Social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram are identified as the main sources of hate speech and misinformation. The impact of hate speech and misinformation can result in decreased trust, increased tension, and mental health issues among individuals and communities. Collaboration between the government, social media platforms, and fact-checking organizations could be explored to develop guidelines and combat the spread of hate speech and false information. Overall, it is crucial for Malaysia to prioritize initiatives that promote respect, understanding, and empathy among different ethnic groups.